All right, here's the 411, folks. I have the sudden urge to talk in, 1930s, 1940s kind of slang. Not that I, could, but, even just the vocal inflections. Because I've been watching a lot of screwball comedies and film noir. And just today, I fell well, the other day and today, I have fallen completely in love with Barbara Stanwyck because of The Lady Eve and Ball of Fire. Oh my goodness. So, what's going on is that I would like to cover McMegan versus Bad Dummy in Advance OU, which is going to happen in about 40 minutes from the time of recording. And I would like to set the stage. Their teams at this moment are tied 4-4. It's a 6 to tie, 7 to win. And there's some cool games from this SPL Finals that I would like to showcase. However, a lot of them I don't really feel qualified to comment on as to a degree of proficiency as I would like. So that, combined with the fact that I would like to take advantage of its being my birthday to tell you about some movies I've seen recently that I really enjoyed, means that the replays will play and you can admire them, and you can also listen to me yammering about movies. Yeah. I'm also not really in the best shape to narrate. Even the McMegan versus Bad Dummy game, I'm going to be zoning out, I'm certain, because my I know I come across as a major tough guy, right? But it may come as a severe shock to you. But it is the truth that I have a specifically fragile, delicate constitution where if there's like a sudden change of temperature, like if it suddenly becomes cold, I will catch a cold. And Prague suddenly became very, very cold yesterday. And so while I was celebrating my birthday with my friends a day ahead of time because, Saturday, then guess what? I caught a cold. I was in the middle of eating this delicious cheesecake they got for me, and suddenly I had the overwhelming need to blow my nose right as Sharon Stone was on screen in Total Recall, too. And so that has wound up delaying my present to myself, which was after I left my grandma's today. I was going to go to this really great jazz club and see a great band, but I'm a little waylaid, and I think I will be for another day or two. Nothing major, but yeah. Anyway, so that is how we have arrived here. So, I think that's most of the prologue. Yeah. McMegan versus Bad Dummy will be great because McMegan's had a real monstrous season. He's only lost to 2 players. He lost to Frudazi in both their meetings, in the regular season and in the semifinals. And he lost to Bad Dummy in week 1. And some of you may have seen that I narrated that game on the Smogan YouTube channel. And Bad Dummy had an incredible matchup. McMegan brought a team, a solid team, but one that's riskier, and he ran into a Milotic that just really, really gave him trouble. If you would like to see my narration of it, it's on the Smogan YouTube channel, as I said. I'm sorry for repeating myself. That was not me repeating myself because it's what I do. It's because I'm a little loopy. Yeah. So I am very excited for, on this big stage. It's the kind of thing where it's like McMegan being, ranked as high as he is in all of our collective estimations means that he's always going to be favored, and no matter the situation, he's going to be favored. Like if McMegan had won that first matchup, it's like, oh yeah, well, Bad Dummy can't, doesn't stand a chance against him because he's just going to lose again. He's under too much pressure. And even though Bad Dummy won the first one, it's like, oh well, no way he's going to do it again. McMegan's going to be really motivated to not lose to him again. He's going to really bring it, So, but obviously none of this is ironclad. This is, theory stuff. Like you could say the same thing about his matchup against Frudazi in the semifinals. Like, oh, no way he's going to lose to him again. And so yeah, Pokemon, also best of 1, stupid stuff can happen. Yeah, so I'm very excited to see that live. I mean, I wish it was best of 3, but I will not harp on about that too much because, again, it is my birthday. So, yeah. So, a great, great, great film I saw recently was The Tin Drum from 1979. And now I really want to read the book. It's about a kid who is born in Germany, and he's kind of preternaturally gifted. So, he has this monologue, even before he's born. It's like, my mother was this, and I was like, I will not be born. And then I was like, okay, I'll be born if I get this tin drum. That's not exactly how it goes, but again, point being that he reaches the age of 3 and he sees all this hypocrisy of the adults around him. He's like, you know what? I'm not growing anymore. So he's just 3 forever. Even when he's 14, he's 3. I think the kid playing him is like 11 or something, but, he's a convincing 3-year-old. Anyway, and he has this tin drum around his neck, and he plays it constantly. Oh, he also has the ability to yell so loudly and at such a high pitch that he shatters glass. Also, it's Germany at the end of the 30s, so you know where this is going. There's an incredible moment at a rally where he disrupts it through his drumming, and it goes to some really intense places. But yeah, I thought it was fantastic. I saw the extended cut of 163 minutes and really, really liked it. I've also been watching, like I said, some screwball comedies. Sullivan's Travels I thought was super funny. Really liked the detour in the last act. Thought I could have used some more Veronica Lake, but generally, big fan. But yeah, see, this is what I mean. Like, I'm faltering in my like, I mentioned the Barbara Stanwyck movies at the beginning, right? Like, but yeah, The Lady Eve, Ball of Fire. Made a list for more I'm gonna be going through. Okay, the great Japanese director Masahiro Shinoda died recently, and so I checked out a couple of his movies that I'd seen like 10 before. He's really incredible. But I saw Killers on Parade, which I really liked, and Youth in Fury, which I also enjoyed. I don't know what his best film is. Like, the obvious answer is like Pale Flower or Double Suicide. But I think my favorite of his films is either God, what's it called? Under the Blossoming Cherry Trees. That was the first one I saw, and it blew my mind. And then there's Himiko. It's this incredibly. It's technically a biopic, but it's not a biopic in the same way like those, like the recent Bob Dylan movie was. So it's really extraordinary. I mean, so many great things. The Petrified Forest. Yeah, just even his more like things that you would think are more standard, like his samurai film, Samurai Spy, or the movie with the most generic title ever, The Assassin or Assassination, depending on the translation, are just incredible. I love the Japanese New Wave, and he might have been the best of all of them, even better than Teshigahara. Yeah, he's yes, and obviously Pale Flower, Double Suicide, incredible stuff. So, yeah. I also saw, I think maybe my favorite So Bad It's Good movie, Miami Connection. Wow, I can't even describe it. I mean, yes, I can, but you know how like a lot of those So Bad It's Good movies, they sound like they're going to be awesome and it's totally inept and hilarious, but I tend to find them just kind of boring most of the time. Like, yeah, they're bad, and sometimes there is like a moment that defies belief. Like, whoa, but like something like Samurai Cop really doesn't do it for me. But this just kept going, and yeah, if you like So Bad It's Good movies, Miami Connection is the holy grail. Saw Lost Highway in a theater, my favorite. Third time seeing it, favorite. Incredible stuff. That's not really a new watch, but I Heart Huckabees I really enjoyed, actually. That was really fun. Isabelle Huppert, God almighty. I mean, the whole thing's a blast, but yeah, I really dug it. I saw this was really good. There's this director from former Yugoslavia named Emir Kusturica. He's famous for having this crazy movie called Underground, and I liked it. I saw it a couple of years ago, and I thought it was good. And I saw this other movie of his, this kind of precursor, called Time of the Gypsies, and I loved it. It made me want to revisit Underground. I mean, I'm not 100% convinced by the whole thing, I don't think, because I have a fairly critical eye at this point, having seen the ridiculous number of movies I have. But there are some scenes that are just incredible. Like, there's this dream sequence around like 27 minutes in, I want to say, that I I replayed like 5 times. It was incredible. I saw a great Western, Winchester 73. I really like that. Ferocious ending. I saw a couple Guy Madden films, Tales from the Gimli Hospital. I saw it compared to Eraserhead and, Buñuel, and I knew of Guy Madden's whole thing where he tries to recreate, Soviet-style silent films. I saw one of his shorts a couple of years ago, and I liked it. And I also saw Archangel, which, I mean, some of the imagery is terrific. I think he kind of holds himself back with the, super consciously goofy stuff, but, it works. Speaking of Canada, I saw Adam Egoyan's speaking parts, which I really enjoyed. Egoyan is a great, great, great director, and I'll have to revisit what's the big one? Exotica soon. I think my favorite of his is The Adjuster, but I really like this one. Very unique, very hypnotic. The opening stretch with no dialogue it was masterful. There's some really interesting places. For a subject matter that seems well worn, the screens, seeing life through them, the production of a film, but it's Goyen. You always trust him. He always makes it work. Yeah. This is a really great one. There's a film called Miracle Mile. I watched it while I was on the shoot for this movie I was working on, and I thought it was incredible. I won't spoil it, but it takes place in real time pretty much. It's less than 90 minutes, and it takes in like the 90 minutes before a nuclear strike that may or may not happen, and people may or may not believe it. It's incredible. It's a real nerve shredder. I loved it. Made me want to watch it again. As soon as I finish seeing it, which is a great sign for a film. Another rewatch. I saw Letter Never Sent, the Kalatazov film, which in a theater, wow, I just really showed me how incredible it is. It's become like a real like top shelf favorite for me with that. Seeing something in a theater is just the way to go. I like Roy Anderson a lot, and this year I've seen A Pigeon Sat on a Branch Reflecting on Existence, which I know, a title like that, am I right? But and what was the other one? Songs from the Second Floor is a favorite of mine, and then I really liked. I forget what the other one is called. This is gonna bother me. You the Living. That was great. I really liked that one. And so next up is About Endlessness. I'm very excited for that. I really like Seijun Suzuki's movies, so I finally watched a Carmen from Kawachi. That was a strange... I mean, all of his stuff is strange, but this one was really strange. It was like his version of like a Misoguchi melodrama or something. Yeah, loved it. I'm not really a huge Dogma 95 guy, but I saw Mifune by Soren Krag Jakobsen, and I really wound up liking it. It felt less self-consciously provocative than the Von Trier and Winterberg ones that preceded it. So now I'm actually kind of interested in seeing some other Dogmas. Italian for Beginners, Julian Donkey Boy, of course, because I want to see some Korean stuff. And, God, what was the... there's another one, I forget. The one by Suzanne Beer. I forget what it's called. Yeah. The Hudsucker Proxy. I've gone through a couple of my blind spots with the Coens this year, and the Hudsucker Proxy made me laugh really, really hard. Would an idiot make this? And of the other Coens I saw this year, I also really liked A Serious Man. I think it's become like one of my very, very favorites of theirs, except the mystery. And that sequence where the story of the Goy's teeth. Oh my God, that was some of the most unbelievably funny stuff. I didn't really understand the the way the opening Jewish folktale related to the rest of it. I'm sure it would probably be clear on a rewatch, but I really, really, really liked it. And the main guy does an incredible job. But yeah, really loved A Serious Man. Really laughed a lot at the Hudsucker Proxy. Finally got to another major blind spot, The Rules of the Game. It's one of those movies that's on all the all-time great lists. And at first I was like, yeah, that's okay. And then I was like, oh, I see. Also from this game that's on the screen, if you're actually paying attention to that and don't just have me on in another tab, I should check out my food. I prepared food before this and I popped it in the oven. Then there was this thing where, as you see here, what's this thing even called? Cerulege? Cerulege, yeah. Revealed that it had Terra Blast, and everyone was like, dude, why did he reveal that he has Terra Blast? And even the guy he's facing goes, I can't believe you showed that to me. And when I saw this live, I was like, well, I personally don't like when people like talk in battles, like talking shit in general. I don't like shit talkers as a whole. And so everyone was like, dude, why did he do that? Da, da, da. And then it turned out to be this unbelievable, 5D chess maneuver. Oh, 3D. I didn't even plan that. Oh my god, how do I do it? Where now the Zamazenta is prompted to Terra Steel, and it winds up getting destroyed by Bitterblade. So, I don't know if that was intentional or not. I think it was. And, yeah. Also, in case you're like, oh, BKC, why aren't you narrating this, like, analyzing it? I didn't know if Bitterblade was the fire move or the ghost move while watching live, so that tells you all you need to know. I mean, what does it sound like? It sounds like a ghost move, but I wasn't sure. Anyway, and I was also astonished to learn that Ninetales now learns Healing Wish. So, yeah. And then there was a whole thing where the 3D says GG and doesn't get it back, and people in the chat were saying, say it back, oh, he does. And, personally I appreciated that because I don't like when people don't say GG. It's one thing if like you got the daylight tax out of you and you're just kind of stewing, but if it's just like if it's not that, then okay, I really liked actually I kind of wanted to analyze this game. Do I? Okay, you know what, let me check on my food. This is this video's version of a bathroom break, me checking on my food, and then I will make a decision. Okay, so I just lowered the temperature, and I'll give the chicken a few more minutes. Anyway, so yeah, so we've got about 20 minutes before we're gonna switch over to smogtours.psim.us, as you see here. I think the Storm Zone Scarlet and Violet game is scheduled for the same time, so that might even go first. In which case, it'll give me more time to talk about movies. But yeah, we'll briefly go over this. 'Cause so many more movies I'd like to mention. My God. Anyway, okay, so this Gen 4 OU game I originally narrated live, but whether it was because I was sick or just not in the right headspace, I don't know. But I thought the narration was really bad, so that's why we're doing it again this way. So Rose versus Azelf. The what I was thinking live was when it switched out like this instead of the standard leaf storm, whether it's scarf or sash. I was thinking, is that like Spike's T Spike's Roserade, which doesn't have the moves to pressure lead Azelf as directly, and kind of reveals itself in the process by not leaf storming because Spikes and leaf storm together are illegal. So, um, yeah. And when I saw the T-Tar come in, I was like, is that Scarf? Because Rose Lead and Scarf T-Tar is super old school, and that kind of team does not really get used anymore. Or like, not saying it's unviable or anything. It's just that the kind of lead Rose, Scarf Tar stuff was pre-Clef, and it's kind of a major adjustment to make. Like if you are to use a Rose team, then one of your best weapons against Clef is going to be something like CB Tar. So Scarf is really going to limit you against your biggest enemy by far. So yeah, and obviously you're trying to catch a taunt here. It was a nice move on Groudon's end to go right for the rocks, because I mean, Roserade is so tempted to Leaf Storm you anyway, but the real reason you want to go for rocks is because if you're facing a Scarf Rose lead and it Leaf Storms you, then you don't want to taunt and then be forced out and not get your rocks. At least, I mean, T-Spikes might annoy you, sure, but Roserade is so unlikely to go for them because if it Sleep Powders or T-Spikes on a taunt and then it's so far behind, at least, you put the pressure on no matter what if you Leaf Storm turn one. So it's a great move, and with the loss of Machamp from the tier, Azelf has no more reason to run Lumberry because it was running Colbur Berry, and then Machamp started dynamic punching Azelf leads, and just to try and win with confusion because dynamic punch is stupid, which is why Machamp is banned now. And yeah, and obviously it's good against things like Rose or Jirachi Body Slam, but without Machamp, you're not really needing to run Lum, and you'd rather run Sash or Colbur or Citrus. But yeah, with Sash becoming or Citrus or something, then becoming more likely. But honestly, even Colbur is less likely because it's just mostly for T-Tar. And Colbur was originally an anti-Machamp technique. Shoutouts to Cool Trainer Alex from the YouTube Wi-Fi days, who invented it. So Colbur is also less likely. I mean, it's still good because it's into T-Tar, and T-Tar is like the number one response to Azelf a lot of the time. So, but it's less likely. So nowadays you're more likely to see something like Sash or Citrus would be the alternative, I think, because it helps with things like Metagross and Empoleon. And no, not Dragonite so much. Anyway, so yeah, Crunch. So it was one of those two, and it does not live, and it is Scarf. So then comes a T-Tar. It's going to be DD very likely. I don't think these kinds of Azelf offense teams need DD-Tar. I think DD-Tar can risk running flat a lot of the time. But here it is. And Skarmo's response can be pretty back foot because, just Whirlwind. But Christos has really come prepared and counters it, and down goes the T-Tar. And the Skarmo's down, but it's, he's gotten two kills very quickly. Now here's where this kind of goes fuck up. Christos gets cute around Gyarados, which, if history has taught us anything, this is the Pokemon you least want to get cute against. So he roosts up. He's like, well, I don't want to switch, and it's going to Waterfall. I shouldn't die to it unless it's Life Orb, in which case, I'll reveal Life Orb, take chip damage, and it'll take a lot of chip damage, all that jazz. Honestly, I think, I'm not sure about the roost, because what was unexpected was Gyara running Taunt. Gyara doesn't run Taunt in general nowadays, let alone on teams like this, these hyper offense teams, because it's hard enough to pack two coverage moves on DD Waterfall Gyara, let alone just fitting it into one. The coverage moves are most commonly, it used to be Bounce, but I don't think anyone's really running that anymore. And so the other option is normal, Return, Double Edge if you're crazy, or I think it's really good because it slams Starmie, but I get the recoil. Some people have even used Waterfall Outrage because it hits everything neutrally except Empoleon, gets some big super effective slams, like of course Latias here as you see. Yeah, but generally I would assume normal. But yeah, it's rare, but it can work. But yeah, seeing the I don't know. I think roosting and then trying to whirlwind, like, I don't know. I think given what we know, I think you can't afford to get cute against it. Like I understand that taunt is very unlikely. It just felt like switching right away and not risking any like DD business, going bad. I don't know. Like it felt a little too easy. Like what, he's just gonna come in and like let you. Like I know these teams don't do great against Scarm in general once the pressure, when the momentum is worn off. But like he's just gonna let you roost up and then counter him again or face him out without doing any damage. Like that seems too risky. Um, I don't know. I think generally no, you don't expect taunt on Gyarados anymore. But I think the alarm bell should have started going off when it was sent in like that, because T-Tar, Gyara, like you're gonna have more anti-Scarm tools, and especially if the Scarm was at 33% as it was. So I think it was less like, oh, he's desperate against the Scarm, because that would make it the worst team of all time, and more he's gonna try and use this as bait. So I know in general, no, you don't think taunt on Garrett anymore, but in that situation, I think the alarm bells have to go off in your head, especially because you're pretty far ahead. You've gotten 2 kills, including against a very dangerous DD Tar. You can start playing it safe now, or you should play it safe, because the only way this really starts to go wrong is if you start dicking around against it. So, as we see here, the Garrett gets a second DD. It does not have Outrage, so Latias Dragon Pulses. And I was thinking during the game, like, this has got to go for a T-Wave, right? Because I like Lumgera a lot, even outside the lead slot. Obviously, it's the standard in the lead slot. But, it's not some... At this point, you're so far behind that you can't be afraid of, the Lum. You got to go for that T-Wave. And then it didn't T-Wave, and it didn't Reflect either, and it didn't Roar. And I was like, okay, so Roar, I was thinking, if it's Calm Mind Roar, then it goes for Roar. And if it's like pure support, then it's going to go for T-Wave or Reflect. I mean, some of those support Latias sets, they even go like T-Wave, Recover, Bolt Beam, and that would be really helpful. But no, it just Dragon Pulse. And that makes me think, okay, the Rose lead implies a more aggressive edge to this kind of team, especially with the Scarf Tar. It's fast, it's anti-offense, it's slice and dice, very old school. And what kind of Latias do you want on this team? It's not like a super fat balance team or stall team where you're cool with running a very passive Latias. T-Wave, Reflect, you thud into Clefable, you do nothing. You kind of let offense teams wear themselves out. No, it makes more sense that this Latias is going to be one of your end game options. And so I think the set that this winds up being is Calm Mind, Dragon Pulse, HP, Fire, Recover, because in no other move, that's the only set. Lefty's Latias set where a Dragon Pulse winds up being your best move. Most other Latias sets are going to be commonly used, especially excuse me. Most other Latias sets that are going to be used, Dragon Pulse is not your best move into Gera. As you see, Gera's great natural special bulk, it just bounces off there. And and now Christos goes for the Desperation move, as it does indeed show a return, and it's not Lum, and he was going for the poison point, and he gets that 30%, and that's really big. Now, I don't think the game was necessarily over, because as you see here, he's going to go to a Swampert, and even if you take the poison damage off this Gyarados, and you see this, because it's not going to KO the Pert at +2, but what it does mean is that the Pert can't get rocks. Now, Pert is going to survive the Gyara and get rocks. And if it hadn't been poisoned, it would have had to attack the Gyara and, not get rocks. So that's pretty big. I don't know if it's necessarily game-changing, but knowing how these DD spam teams tend to have Dragonite, then, it is not insignificant. Let me just make sure that the game hasn't started. Okay. So yeah, with Dragonite in, in your mind. Yeah. So the Gyara, and what was also unusual was seeing how much damage the Pert took. I saw Protect Pert, and I was like, okay, it's going to have rocks, so it's going to be the old school tank Pert. Impish, Relax, EQ Ice Beam, And, that takes even +2 Gera Waterfall decently. Over half for sure, but still decently. Um, and instead it takes, a ton, so it looks offensive. So I'm like, what is... I guess this... Because you have to be anti-Clefable somehow, and I was like, what, is the Scarm going to have Taunt? But I guess the Pert is kind of the anti-Clef thing. I mean, I understand that Christos probably took a risk and knows Groudon is an extremely offensive player, and the likelihood of facing Clef is very low, which is also why you're seeing, a Roserade team with a Scarf Tar and, a generally offensive offensive slant. Yeah, but yeah, I guess it makes sense that offensive Pert is just good in general. Now, here's a move I really didn't agree with. Letting the Pert go. I really did not agree with not just going to Scarm. I don't like whatever thing you're fearing from Metagross. You're gonna have to contend with it now anyway. If you're afraid of like Trick Iron Ball or whatever, and you can't be afraid of what's it called? A Meteor Mash raises at this point. You can't play afraid of that. So yeah, I really didn't agree with sacking the Swampert. We know that every sacrifice is important. Every turn is important. Sand damage. So I think that needlessly helped Groudon out. Not that Pert was going to do a lot in and of itself, but you never know. Especially because Jirachi was revealed. And I was wondering, what the last are going to be. Jirachi is not something you see on these hyper offense teams very much, but I do like it as a choice because it gives some natural speed, some wall breaking, and some longevity. A lot of these DD spam teams, I don't wind up liking them because I find that once that initial wave of momentum wears off, they're just kind of toast. And Jirachi is so self-sufficient and so good against so much that it winds up fixing a lot of those issues in real battle situations. So yeah, the Metagross clearly doesn't have Trick Iron Ball, but this Jirachi is going to have to provide some sort of anti-Scarm support. And I was like, I hope the move isn't just, I'm going to burn this thing with Fire Punch. I have a particular distaste for that, with people acting like Jirachi Fire Punch Burn is an anti-Skarmory technique, or one to be relied on, rather. Now, I'm not saying, throw your Skarms into a million Jirachi Fire Punches and, be surprised when it goes wrong. But I am saying that, relying on Jirachi Fire Punch to break Scarm is, rather foolish. So I was thinking, like, is this going to be like Super Rachi or something? Or like the old school mixed Jirachi? Or, is it really going to be unusual and have Thunder? And then it actually, winds up having Thunder, which is something I haven't seen, anyone use in a long time. I liked it a lot, like a long time ago. So I liked that choice from Groudon. But it doesn't do very much because, again, physically leaning Jirachi on this kind of team, sub Iron Head Fire Punch. And then here comes the Dragonite last, and it is indeed going to be affected by rocks. Now imagine if you had like a safe sacrifice here, to the with the Swampert, just as an example. Or with the Protect Pert, you might even be able to leverage some health into Jirachi. I don't know. Also, notice the Scarm's lack of leftovers. God, I hate Shed Shell Scarm so much. Just punish Magnezone teams other ways, in my opinion, anyway. So yeah, now Latias pivots into the Fire Punch because if it's Life Orb, then it will KO. And seeing the lack of pressure on Scarm from other directions, you really have to assume that this is Life Orb. So it is Life Orb. Fire Punch just barely comes up short with Sand, but it gets a lucky burn. So, I mean, hey, Poison Point. Hey, this thing might have E-Speed, but, E-Speed could get pivoted into. T-Tar could come in. So, a little bit of luck making up for it. Latias is no longer a sacrifice, although with Jirachi being the case, who knows if it matters. And I was wondering what the last was going to be, because I was like, okay, Rotom is the obvious choice, but I was also thinking Gengar is the ghost that actually puts pressure on Clef more directly, and it gives, natural speed without having to rely on a Choice Scarf, so I could see it being used, especially because of the more aggressive direction. Gengar is the more aggressive of the two ghosts, so I was thinking that was very plausible. Then I was also going on a whole thing about how Scarftar doesn't run Stone Edge, or it used to run Ice Beam for Mixgon and Gliscor, but then Ice Punch was the upgrade, and now we see the Ice Punch there to finish it off. So, I mean, the rocks didn't wind up making a huge difference. I don't know. I mean, of course they made a difference, but yeah. So the 30% Poison Point and then the Fire Punch Burn, let's just roughly call it even. Very roughly. I realize I'm oversimplifying things a lot, and also this is why Best of 3 is better. Not sorry for throwing that in there, just making sure they haven't started early. And, well, look at that. If it isn't Finchinator in Gen 5 OU, what's he going to he's gonna win with the Garchomp. Yeah, looks like he's winning this one. Uh-huh. Can't say I'm thrilled about that outcome. Anyway, so now Jirachi comes in, and Skarmory is going to actually give it a sub, as it's yeah, yikes. So now I was thinking, okay, well if the last is the ghost, then you're gonna have to. I mean, if the T-Char had EQ, he was in a perfect position because Ironhead doesn't KO. So you break the sub, then you hit it again, but it does only has crunch. Okay, still fine. You're gonna crunch, and then whatever the last is. I was thinking, hey, I want this Rotom should have some flexibility, right? I was thinking like, oh man, it's gonna be like sub split, either sub split Lefty's Wisp, sub split Life Orb, although that runs into issues against Ironhead, lack of bulk and longevity and sand. But hey, it's a cool set. Could even be Specs. I was expecting something else, something that could deal with Clef even somehow. I know with sub you got to be careful against Encore, but something. I was even saying, hey, sub Charge Beam. That would be cool. Turns out it is actually kind of ideal here because it's going to be faster than the Jirachi because it's Scarf. So as you see here with the double Scarf, I know Teeter's not a traditional choice Scarfer and that it doesn't revenge kill like speed boosters, but it's fast. So with the Scarf, like you got the Rose, which is fast, and then you got the Scarf Tar, you got the fast Latias, you got the Scarf Rotom. This is very anti-offense, so a nice pick from Christos. And he's actually looking pretty good because, barring luck, he's going to 2-KO the Jirachi, and then unless the Metagross has Zen Headbutt, then he's going to 2-KO it, almost certainly, and win the game. So he T-Bolts, and then Thunder gets the Para, and suddenly it looks like Groudon's gonna come home with it. Even if he didn't flinch that, he was just, overwhelmingly favored with Metagross afterwards. Yeah, unlucky because it's 42% to Thunder Para considering Serene Grace and accuracy, and of course Rotom T-Bolt can either crit or para full para, so call it 60-40, little more. But then the Metagross comes in and gets a mash and an attack boost for good measure. So that's the game. I thought it was an interesting game. I thought there were some Groudon played very well. I think Crystals generally played well. Both brought good teams, but I think there were some misplays, and of course Pokemon. Luck marring stuff a little bit. But you know what? Yeah, best of 3, etc., etc. Okay, so now we're going to readjust our dimensions because McMan is scheduled for soon. And while we wait... Well, I'm going to run to the bathroom, actually. And, oh, Finch lost. Okay, I feel a little bad for making fun of him now. Yeah. I mean, justice, Although, actually, give me 1 second to, check the food and go to the bathroom. So, BRB. Okay. It's 11 p.m. and they're not playing. So, dude. Okay, I actually know why McMegan schedules for late at night, Euro time. But like, I've seen this so many times where like Euro players will schedule for like super late at night, and not because they're forced to, because they're playing an American who is mysteriously unavailable before 4 p.m. So 10 for us. It's like Euro player versus Euro player. Hey, you want to play at 10:30 our time? It's like sure, and I'm like, guys, what are you doing? But that's me. Anyway, so where was I? Yeah, so McMegan should be starting soon. This has been pushed back, in which case I will be angry. But I have time to tell you about. Oh yeah, the Gen 9 game is starting. So okay, after this Gen 9 game, then McMegan will play, I assume anyway, and I have more time to tell you about movies I'm watching. Okay, Michael Clayton from 2007, starring George Clooney. I really, really like this movie. It's about a lawyer or a law company's fixer. One of their lawyers, has a crisis of conscience because he's defending someone he knows is a crazy guilty and actually causing a lot of damage. And Clooney is fantastic. I really, really enjoyed this one. Wanted to watch it again. Great ending too. So yes, big fan of Michael Clayton. Visconti's Obsession, the adaptation of the James Cain novel, The Postman Only Rings Twice. I loved the way he shot this. That was wonderful. Daisy von Schurlermeyer, is that how you say her name? Yeah, Daisy von Schurlermeyer, Party Girl. What a blast. Parker Posey is a joy. And the whole thing is just so infectious, but I just keep thinking of, the way she goes, "Fuck you," and, it gives me life. Anyway, that's an ogre pun. I don't know what that does. Okay, yeah, I kind of do, but, I went through a lot of Kaurismäki movies at the same time, and I liked them. I thought they kind of limited themselves, but the ones that stood out were Drifting Clouds and The Match Factory Girl. I liked those very much. The others I liked too, but, Paper Moon. I loved Paper Moon. Big dumb grin on my face the whole time. Oh, what a joy. That was, yeah, inspiring, heartwarming, all that. There's a French film from 1971 by Jacques Rosier. It's called either The Beaches of Orouet. I'm sorry for my pronunciation for any French speakers out there. It's either called The Beaches of Orouet or Near Orouet. But the French title does say like the beaches of, as I think anyway. And I was like, it's weird because it's like a 2.5 hour slice of life about these three young girls who spend a summer vacation. Well, it's summer vacation at the beginning of September, at a beach, and it seems kind of like light, but then by the end it's taken on a whole other sort of quality, and yeah, I really loved it. So I liked his other movie I saw, Adieu Philippine. I saw this documentary he did about paparazzi following Brigitte Bardot around. I liked them both, but this I really, really enjoyed. I binged a lot of Greg Araki movies. I liked those. Mysterious Skin. Yeah, I watched Twin Peaks Fire Walk with Me in the theater, and then Mysterious Skin the day after. So I had a really, really good 2 days. It was on Twin Peaks Day, the Twin Peaks thing. And yeah, I'm kind of like going back and forth. Like I might like this more than Mulholland now. I don't know. It's just such a. I think this is like the 4th time I've seen it. 5th maybe. No, 4th, yeah. And this time I really, like, before it has this amazing quality where you kind of, like, for me at least, before, like, the ending, when the ending came around, I was just kind of like, what is happening? And this time I was more, not focused, but, like, aware, I guess. And this time, like, and throughout the whole thing, I was just picking up on the details, like, as I hadn't before. And it was really just hitting me just how incredibly made it is. But, like, yeah, you see some flaws, some imperfections, whatever, but, They almost kind of work. I think like the imperfections of the swings and misses, or the swings that might wind up being misses, they contribute to the overall fractured perspective, anchoring the story. Yeah, and I do love the structure as well. I do love the prologue and Deer Meadow. So yeah, incredible experience. Oh, I enjoyed Barton Fink as well. That was really something. It was like the Tenant, but different. Yeah. I watched a couple, like 4 movies from Lisandro Alonso, and I really, he's an Argentine director, slow cinema, and I really enjoyed them. Los Muertos was my favorite. Women on the Verge of a Nervous Breakdown. That was fun. I think I have to see that one again, honestly. But I have a lot of other Almodovar movies I want to see. Oh, Red Rooms. I linked I remember what I was going to say earlier about Finchinator. But yeah, if you're in my Discord, if you're not, you should join. But link is in the description, like it is in every video. But yeah, in my Discord a few months ago when I wasn't, uploading videos. Oh, the game started. Oh, they're playing. What? God, you're playing simultaneously? Oh my God, what happened? Anyway, I did a film podcast about the best movies I saw in 2024 with Nassim, who is a regular contributor to the Movies channel in my Discord, and I named Red Rooms, the French Canadian film, as one of my favorites. I think he did too. It's extraordinary. Anyway, so 2 Metagross leads. Megan goes to a Salamence that has a funny nickname with modern context because goons, like meaning henchmen, which I believe because McMegan takes his nicknames from the Pokemon cards, and they have like abilities before there were even abilities. It's called Pokemon Power. Like even the original Charizard, has one, for instance. But yeah, now Call for Goons just makes me think of stuff Finchinator does 24/7 in his free time. Yeah, but that Metagross from Bad Dummy is absolutely choice banded because it just blew up immediately trying to catch a Scarm. Like, if there's a Scarm, it's going to come in, and it caught immense, and that's very, very good value, because if you catch a Magneton... Well, actually, no, that's kind of the idea of this team from Bad Dummy, I think, where if you catch a Metagross... Or, sorry, if Magneton traps your Metagross, then maybe you'll be able to, avoid it trapping your Scarm. I don't know if he's got, like, a Mag of his own, or, like, a Dugtrio or something. I kind of doubt it. Especially at this point, and it's tough to fit, my God. But yeah, the CB meta plus Scar plus Doug, I don't know. But yeah, like if you have Brick Break on the meta. But yeah, I don't know if it quite works as well to immediately explode against other Metagross lead because if there is a lead that says I have a Magneton in the back. I'm not saying it's guaranteed. Of course, there are plenty of Metagross lead teams that are also CB and don't have Mag, but I don't know, it feels... Because you're never going to catch the Mag with your Metagross there. So... Because it's not going to switch into a possible EQ. But I mean, look, the Boom getting rid of Mence is great, because Mence is scary. So at least even though you've lost 2 Pokemon early on, you've also gotten a lot out of it. Getting rid of Mence is always very, very good, especially because it's a fast Pokemon. It's one of the faster Pokemon on offense teams, and these kinds of mid-range, balancy spike things, then they are always they're generally most scared of getting outsped and messed with. Now, even though DD Mence is not necessarily scary to if there's like a Swampert in the back, not having to deal with it is good. It makes Celebi much, much better. And as you see here, McMegan is taking some time. So post that turn 1 boom, we then saw T-Tar getting some sand up just as Suicune comes in because that's the Pokemon you want to limit. Of course, the sand winds up meaning Celebi doesn't get some lefties back, but that's okay. T-Tar just good on a double down, and it was a nice call from Bad Dummy to go to T-Tar knowing that McMegan is very unlikely to repeat his lead and is going to go to something else. He has to run away from the Suicune, but yeah. Surf, we don't know if that means Calm Mind, Rest, Sleep Talk to dominate Blissies, or if it means that he just doesn't want to take a Leech Seed as he Ice Beams. Instead, Metagross comes in, Meta provokes the very possible Scarm. But he goes back to Celebi. That's a nice move, seeing what's going to come in. Yeah, because if there's like a water type, like a Milo or something, then Rest Talk Suicune will dominate it. And instead, Mag comes in and deals with Scarm. T-Bolt crit, so it doesn't get a chance for the second layer. In comes Celebi. Leech with one layer and Sand, HP Fire spamming. I mean, without Ments in the picture, this is going to be a pain. So yeah, it gets T-Waved, but it's HP Grass Mag, not even HP Fire. He really wants the pressure on Pert. I mean, that's a game changer, HP Fire Mag is so standard, and if you think you can wall it with Pert, that's huge. Maybe even HP Ice, possibly, but I would say Grass is a lot likelier. But I mean, even if he did get the HP Fire off, it's, still... Yeah. The thing is, though, that Metagross is going to be irritating now, especially with lefties, meaning it's not getting worn down by the spike, and there is indeed a Pert. And there is a very good possibility of a DD Tar in the back, but, there could also just be like a Heracross if this is the traditional so-called blue offense team. And it doesn't get blown up, so I guess Bad Dummy's like, look, I can deal with a DD. So, okay, well, we're really going to see that put to the test. As here comes Arrow. Is going to have HP fighting? No, it is not. McMan banks on it, and down it goes, but it's also not going to sweep. Okay, and now we are caught up, so we're in real time. So Celebi's got to come in here, obviously, and it's going to have a very easy Giga Drain. The thing is, if there is a Heracross in the back, then he's toast. Now, the thing is also that Heracross is a lot less likely to pop up on a team with Sand. Because, Sub-Salic, yeah, you could... Okay, it's Lax. Oh, boy. So, it's not a Heracross, indeed. So, we have a more standard kind of offense team. Okay. Not more standard. See, I'm all over the place, so grain of salt, please. Yeah, you don't want this... Well, it's not going to have Focus Punch, because Focus Punch is more of a tool you use when you don't have Mag to try and poke Scarm down. You don't want to get EQ'd on the switch. Basically, what McMan would love is for Lax to blow up Celebi, and then Suicune obviously beats T-Tar. If you take T-Tar down with your Lax, then Celebi wins. I mean, I guess you could say, oh well, Leech. Okay, there's the curse. So that was a great move on Bad Dummy's end, knowing, look, this Lax is not going to blow up immediately. The only because remember, the only way Lax threatens Celebi is with a boom, because that lets Suicune beat T-Tar last, but he's not going to boom right into the T-Tar. So great move to get the leech seed off, and that will let his T-Tar pressure the Lax more. That was a really great move from Bad Dummy. Really heads up. So now we can go to T-Tar. Even if he gets EQ'd, +1 EQ'd, it's going to sting, right? But it's also, he's going to get so much health back from Leech Seed and presumably lefties. And if it's not lefties, then, I mean, okay, that's not as good. He's going to Psychic, and he's going to, okay, eat a return for a ton of damage. But now T-Tar can switch in safely. Okay, I guess he's really not confident about, but now the T-Tar's got to come in. It's 100% coming in here. Because otherwise he just straight up loses to the Suicune. And he goes right for the return again. I wonder if it has EQ or not. Okay, so I guess his plan here, it doesn't have lefties. Is it DD? Honestly, if it is DD, you go for the DD here. Because then because then if it KOs you, who cares? Because then you go to Celebi and it's in KO range. And now Suicune cannot set up Calm Mind against the boosted T-Tar. And then Celebi's going to beat it. The only option for a win was to somehow, it's Leech Seed and Giga Drain. It's going to be an offensive Celebi. But the only option would be to somehow, boost so many times that even the Giga Drains don't do a lot. And, the Giga Drain don't do a lot, unboosted. And it does have Ice Beam, but just wow, that was a close one. That was a really good game. That one, if you are trying to learn advanced, I would study this one. Yeah, that's, so it is Ice Beam. So that was nicely revealed, but at the same time, you see the trade-off. Giga Drain didn't do that much on boosted, true, but also Ice Beam did less than 50. So, I was thinking, if it is Calm Mind, Rest Talk, then the move is definitely, your goal, rather, is to try and set up so many Calm Minds that, Leech Seed is annoying, but, you're going to shrug off the Giga Drains and eventually you'll win. But, then you're also going to have to go through a lot of Psychics. Pressure, PP stall, but it just takes one crit for it to or maybe takes 1 crit. It's doable, but unlikely. But yeah, that was very nicely orchestrated by Bad Dummy, especially the psychic into the after the leech seed. That was really well done. Major props. Yeah, and like I think he was calcing to see if like he would live the EQ or not. But again, like even if the EQ didn't, because how much did Psychic do? 21. So yeah, it would have finished off the 16% Snorlax easily. So even if the T-Tar doesn't get EQ'd, or even doesn't survive the EQ, then Selby comes in, finishes it off with the Psychic, and then will beat Suicune 1-on-1 easily. Especially because it doesn't even have the option of going for that Calm Mind repeatedly rest stuff. I think it's just going to fall to 2 Giga Drains no matter what. How much health was it at? Oh, whoops, sorry. You know what's helpful also if you're trying to learn things? I like if I'm watching a replay trying to learn something from it, I like switching the perspectives if I'm watching it repeatedly, because then it seems dumb, but then you do potentially like unlock a different way of seeing it potentially. Obviously, if you're being a super objective Oscar. I was going to say subjective Steve, but I realized, no, that's not what you're doing. If you're being an objective Oscar, it's like, oh, I'm only interested in the position, the point of view, then okay, whatever. But yeah, that was very confident of Bad. I mean, not that he was really loaded with options to take on the exploding Pert, with the self-sacrificed Metagross and then the Mag Scarm. But yeah, I mean, the DD Tar there is super scary, and I mean, it's very unlikely that an Arrow on a Swampert team has HP fighting, so. That was just like, dude, you were confident about it. Like, are you being safe? HP fighting arrows for like teams that kind of use things like Claydol and Dugtrio to handle DD Tar, where you really need the extra punch. But yeah, the Suicune was okay. It was at 100. So, and I think, yeah, because even if the if the T-Tar gets KO'd by EQ here, then, which I guess would also be kind of unlikely, because, God, that'd be really strong. Then the Celebi also comes in. The Celebi gets Leech Seed recovery. How much was it healing from Leech Seed? It was healing a fair chunk, I think. Yeah, wow, it was healing a lot. What is that, like 26%? Oh, why did I think it was at 62? Oh, Return did 62. Celebi wasn't at 62. Okay, so it healed 15%. So then it's going to get... So call it, 65, 66-ish. Because of, Showdown rounding down. So yeah, it's going to be a 65, let's call it, against Suicune. And then you can Leech and then Giga Drain, I think? Yeah, so... Leech and then Giga Drain is probably... I don't know, I would have to get in the calc. But you would have the position you wanted, worst case. But, obviously this is ideal. You get to Rock Slide it. I even wonder if Earthquaking the Suicune is better. Also, that Suicune is very bulky because it took less than half from +1 Rock Slide. If it was just a pure offensive Suicune, then... But I guess that also makes sense for, how the Ice Beam did. I mean, it did a nice chunk, but not that much. So, and I think it's likely that the Celebi with 3 attacks is going to have a lot of special attack investment. I was like, oh, is that like a more bulky version of this kind of Celebi? But I think it's likely that the Suicune was just bulky from how little it took from Rock Slide and Giga Drain, and how the Ice Beam, invested for sure, but, not, I don't think it's like modest 252. Anyway, I think that's it for this video, because the next game is, I mean, I would love to get the GSC. I don't know what happened in the Gen 9, but let me scroll up. Storm Zone and Kate won. And Kate is on which team? Kate is on, who's on what team? My God. Okay, well, McMan is on the Classiest, so the Classiest now have 5 wins. Oh, hello. Okay, great timing. We now have the black and white game. I was just about to... Wow. Okay. Let me check who won so I know the score is. I know the Classiest have at least 5 losses because... And conversely, the Tigers have at least 5 wins because of the Bad Dummy McMegan one. So now, I don't know if this game... what team is Storm Zone on? So Kate won that, right? Kate won. So it's 5-5. Yeah? Okay, so it's 5-5. So the series cannot end with this game. But, so either way, one team will secure a tie here. And we are seeing the latest trend in black and white. I do have a couple videos on black and white coming in the near future, so stay tuned. From Sergio, we are seeing Conkelder offense. And from Dice, we are seeing Custap Skarmory offense. Or it doesn't have to be Custap. It could be Mental Herb. It could be Salic. Dice was a big proponent of Salic way back when. But, either way, Custap is kind of shorthand. So, I mean, it's what it looks like. And I was like, oh, the Skarm's going to stay in and go for, rocks and then switch out. But, because Jellicent plus T-Tar plus, Scarfer means it's going to be very difficult for Starmie to spin. But I guess he didn't want to lose Pokemon right away. And what was surprising to me there is the Thunder Punch and how Dice catches it with Lando. So very nicely done as Reuniclus. Ooh. Oh, dude. The Conkelder does not have sheer force because it takes damage from its own life orb. I was like, that Ice Punch still did a lot at 31. Oh my god. So someone messed up, not seeing unless that's on purpose and he wants it to have guts, in which case hey, Jellicent better not Will-O-Wisp it. But yeah, I was surprised because I thought the Skarmory was just going to get down the hazards and go right to it. But yeah, Reuniclus pivots into Ice Punch. Still takes a hefty chunk from Life Orb Ice Punch even at -1. I mean, obviously it's a Trick Room Reuniclus because on a team like this, but that freeze is pretty nasty. So in comes Heatran. I don't know what kind of set this is because Heatran has fallen out of vogue in current black and white. In the past I would think, just guessing now, Scarf Jirachi's kind of made a comeback, so I would guess Scarf Jirachi seems to be the most intuitive Scarfer there. You don't want to waste Latios on Scarf. It's not a team that supports a Scarf Latios. You're not overwhelming T-Tar by any chance. So, Rocks Heatran, of course, offensive. And I guess you want to get Skarm in before Sturdy goes down. But I was kind of wondering, I wonder if this taunts, like Rocks taunt, Fire Stab, Earth Power Heatran is always a good shout. But it doesn't have Air Balloon, so I guess that makes... in the past you could run Taunt on like a Grass Gem set or something, but obviously gems are banned. So Taunt becomes a lot less likely. I'm wondering, is that a bulky one? And now I'm wondering, why did it not attack? I guess, hey, there is Dice's patented Salic Skarm, so it is going to get Trick, Rocks and Spikes. And I wonder if he just didn't want to give up now he's lost the Scarf. But I'm sure that was planned somehow. And he doesn't go for the layers because he doesn't want Starmie coming in for free. Now, the problem is Garchomp threatens everything. If that's a Scarf Garchomp, as I would expect. This is a very almost old school style from Dice. Gravity Landorus, is a crazy good wall breaker and also sets up Scarf Chomp beautifully. So there's a lot of synergy going on here. And the problem is, Sergio's team is really not good into Garchomp at all. Like, this is Scarf Chomp feast territory. Especially because Conk takes hits from Chomp okay at full health, but it's at 79 before Rock, Spikes, and Sand. So, like, the best you can do is, no, you can't even force it to lock into Outrage and, Revenge Kill it with something. Like, I assume the Starmie's Air Balloon did not take Spikes. But, yeah, that might, funnily enough, be your best option, here, because I don't think, Dual Chop, I don't think it will kill with Rocks and Sand. Maybe on, a really high roll, but I don't know if Dice would risk that. Yeah, because, and Jellicent's a safe move anyway, because, you take Ice Beam, you take Spin, and Sergio's under insane pressure, and I made a video dedicated to Garchomp, just Scarf Chomp in Gen 5. I spanned the daylights out of it. And it's been a long time, but look, this is the most perfect matchup you could ask for, with Scarf Chomp and Hazards. So, I guess I don't know if losing the Scar. I mean, again, losing the Jirachi. Actually, funnily enough, that Salic Berry might. No, it's the same as a Choice Scarf. It's not going to save it against Scarf Chomp. I take it back. It'd be funny if it came into play somehow, but. Is he luring the Dual Chop? Oh, he lured the Outrage right away. Oh, and is this left train going to have lefties? Oh, no. Oh, that's terrible. Did it have HP Ice? Oh, that's such nonsense. Oh, man, that's horrifying. I can't believe Dice went for the Outrage. I thought he was just going to preserve it because Scarf Chomp is so lights out late game. I mean, he clearly thought about it. That wasn't just a random click. As you see here, the timer went down quite a bit. But, oh, that's terrible. That was such a great play from Sergio, too. I mean, I don't know if it had HP Ice or not, but, HP Ice used to be pretty standard on Heatran. So, man, that was tough. I'm still wondering, about the, just attack the Scarm and let it get rocks and spikes, but then you've taken out the Scarm as opposed to the more roundabout way of tricking it and then leaving it alive, I'm not sure what there was to be gained from that. But now the Jirachi has iron-headed it. So, I mean, on the bright side, the Chomp can't switch in. I mean, it's still going to... Okay, no, the biggest thing now is that the Chomp can be, after Stealth Rock, is... D-Knight E-Speed is now an option. So is Conk Mach Punch. So there's the U-turn on the Scarm, and now Starmie's going to come in and it can freely fire off a Thunder. God, that's so bad. Oh, that's the worst kind of Pokemon stuff when the right move and the wrong RNG. God, I have to eat some chicken to calm down. That was genuinely upsetting. I hope this functions as ASMR for you to soothe in light of that trauma we just witnessed. My God. Also, the GSC game, that's the decider, Bihi versus Phoenix. That is supposed to be in about half an hour from now. So theoretically, we could drag this... especially because this game's still going on. We could drag this on and then get that one live. So, wow, this might have worked out better than I expected. So there's a Scarm with the Scarf, getting the Brave Bird. So I think just attacking with the Heatran was much better. Yeah. Now there's little option but to just go to this and Surf. Not wanting to risk a Dual Chop miss, I suppose. I mean, Surf does a pretty nice chunk, but it's not really going to change much. Yeah, I don't think Sergio has enough, I think he's running out of gas. With Jirachi down, Starmie's not looking good, Conk's not looking great, D-Knight's got to contend with all this. He can't even sack the Starmie to spin because Jellison's just going to be sacrificed. It's kind of what Jellison does on these teams. It sacrifices itself very well. Runs things like Air Balloon or Eject Button to play around Excadrill, which it can't block. I mean, it can't really block Starmie either, but, just basically stuff like that. So, with Eject Button, you get to pivot out of Starmie, and you can... it's all about getting as many spin blocks as possible. You can block it once, that's often enough. You can block it twice, that's incredible. So... Because, teams like this are supposed to play at a very fast pace. Look, we're only at turn 13. And turn 13 between two stall teams is nothing, but, offense game might be over at this point, or if not literally over, then effectively over. So, yeah, he might have to play for the choke here. Or, I mean, what happens if you Thunder or T-Bolt the Jellison twice and KO it, and pray that it's Air Balloon and not Eject Button? In which case, you're really toast. There's no reason to give up the hazards here. You don't need Jellison for anything. Lando and Yeah, Chomp is bringing the scale. So yeah, there's Justin. So what happens if you thunder it twice? It is air balloon. Goes for the desperation spin. So there's thunder, but I mean, even if it doesn't take that nightshade, I mean, Chomp's gonna come in and finish you off anyway. So like, I don't know how much of a difference that's making. Like, what is there left at this point? Like, Chomp just kind of outrages everything. Yeah, that's the game. So, so we've got half an hour to burn before, because I really don't want to record it as a separate video. I mean, I can keep listing movies, but I also kind of want to eat, so I might just leave this playing as background music. And ASMR, treat it as a live stream where the streamer doesn't have to talk the whole time. I also have to make more tea. Did he really risk the dual chop there? Oh man, that kind of stings. Like, what if that missed? I mean, it seems completely hopeless at this point anyway, but one just goes for nope, ice punch. That's gotta be like, yeah, no, this is. I assume this is. I don't know if it's Yachi Berry or Rocky Helmet or Custap or whatever it is, Earth Plate, but it's gonna be a Lando that can switch attacks, and that means game over. Like, what, you sack the conch here, and I mean, if it's Yachi Dina, no, because you can't lock into Outrage to take out the Lando and E-speed the. Yeah, that's the thing. You can't KO the Lando. Oh, it's leftovers. Well, it's HP Ice. Oh, is it DD Roost? Oh, it's Ice Punch. Well, there is the Yachi Berry. Okay. Lefty's DD. Is it going to have E-Speed last? Like, what is the anti-scar maneuver? Is it that Set Fakes was using? With, Oh, I see. Now he forces in the Chomp. Oh, that's no. Oh, is this still a game? Forces in Chomp. Oh! Oh my god. I was going to say, he forces in Chomp, and then, like, can he win with Mach Punch and then beating the Reuniclus? I don't know. It seemed safer to just... Okay. I think he's still got it, because Lando still intimidates, and then Garchomp wins at -1. Because there's no way, also, Reuniclus has, greater chance to thaw out. I was wondering, like, if this thing has, like, bulk up or something, but of course it doesn't. Yeah. There's a crit, but, I mean, now it's up to, Mach Punch. And it just barely... Yeah. That was a bad crit on Heatran. Of course, I mean, but then again, the... Oh, and it did have Dragon Pulse, I see. But then again, the Reuniclus did get frozen on the first Ice Punch. Now, we don't know how that would have played out, of course, but... Yeah, that happens sometimes where, game goes so fast you don't realize hacks goes early on. So I would like to amend the whole thing. Or not the whole thing, but there's a player named Soga King a million years ago who said, "Oh, early game hacks doesn't matter because you can play around it," which isn't true. Like, come on. Yeah, that was... Yeah, if we instant replay this joint, and I got that has to be an intentional non-shear force, right? Because otherwise, but yeah, that freeze is. I mean, what happens otherwise? Like, Jirachi comes in, and it was weird that Heatran came, like, the double switch to T-Tar. I don't know what was coming in because I would assume that Jirachi is the Reuniclus answer, and T-Tar doesn't double into Jirachi, so I was like, is T-Tar trying to catch a Starmie or Latios? Or because then he switched out of the Heatran. So, but yeah, that is not for me to decide anymore because I am actually realizing how hungry I am. And so we are going to keep the music playing while we wait for... I mean, I'll come back once I'm done eating. Um, but that's such a shame to see this move not work out. But yeah, I mean, Dragon Pulse doesn't KO the Garchomp, but it sure, brings it into much more manageable range for everything. So, yeah. But yeah, the freeze definitely is affecting things because, Trick Room, Reuniclus against a weakened Jirachi. I mean, the Jirachi is not necessarily going to be weakened if the Heatran doesn't get crit. But just generally, Trick Room, Reuniclus is also a big, big threat, to a team with Conk. And, but yeah, I think the D-Knight was the set fakes likes, which is DD, Ice Punch, Earthquake, Fire Punch, I think. I don't know if it has Outrage or not, but basically Ice Punch means you don't have to Outrage Gliscor and Lando, which is good. And Hippo. But yeah, very close end. But I was thinking, like, you sack Chomp and then... not sack Chomp, what do you mean? But I was thinking, oh, Chomp has to come in. I was wondering, is Healing Wish the way? Because, but no, because otherwise you just, whatever health Conk was at, then you're just going to Mach Punch at 45 after Spocket, right? Yeah, no, you're going to be toast, so... no, it was well played by Dice. Okay, so yeah, I will be back. The music will continue playing. It's a playlist of Glitch X Cities. It's all her Pokemon remixes. So I will turn the volume up a little bit. And I will BRB. For those who are just listening to this in the background, if you would like to watch, then there is a DPP Ubers game on the screen right now between High Lord and Lassen that I'm going to be watching while eating quickly. So yeah, you are welcome to follow along to that. If not, then you can skip ahead too. That's always an option. But I think you should bask in the ambiance because the build-up is crazy for this last game. Okay. For those not paying attention to the... Let me turn this down. For those not paying attention to the screen right now, I have just panned over to the main Smogtours chat where I asked if the game was in, 10 minutes, just to make sure, and apparently it's in an hour and 10 minutes at 1 a.m. for, both players and myself. So yeah, I don't think I can hold out that long. Well, okay, I don't think I can, I shouldn't, and I don't want to. So, I am going to finish it because, if you have waited this long, you've waited for something. So I'm going to finish this video off by continuing listing some great movies for your enjoyment. Yeah, I'll be quick, though, so we can wrap things up. Yeah. So, Red Rooms, the French-Canadian film, loved it. I'm not a Spielberg fan, but I saw War of the Worlds, and I thought it was fantastic. Ending was ridiculous, but, before that, I thought it was really, really well done. He was really, really in the zone there. There was a great noir, like 70 minutes long, called The Narrow Margin. I really enjoyed that one. The Boston Strangler from 1968. That was a really interesting movie. Very avant-garde in its presentation, and very brutal as well. Tony Curtis from Some Like It Hot and Sweet Smell of Success fame does an incredible job there. what else did I like? I liked Victor Uriche's of Spirit of the Beehive fame. I saw one of his student films called Los Días Perdidos, which I believe means the Lost Days. Someone feel free to correct me on that. Zombievers, an art film classic. Uh, yeah, Zombie Beavers has the decency to have a very short runtime of 77 minutes, and I think the last like 10 minutes are like bloopers. You know, the credits roll at like minute 68 or something. I saw the Playtime. I saw Playtime in a theater, and it is incredible. It's become like one of my very, 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 very favorite films at this point. So yeah, Playtime has my highest recommendation. It's extra. I mean, I liked it before, but now I mean, seeing it on the big screen was just genuinely I couldn't describe it then, can't describe it now. I mean, also because I'm sick and out of it, but like really, it defies, its existence defies belief. I cannot wrap my head around it. I liked Jim Jarmusch's Limits of Control. I thought that was a really good one. Son of the White Mare, and a Hungarian animated film. That was really something. I saw that in a theater as well. Gus Van Sant's Last Days. I really liked that one. That Sofia Coppola's Somewhere. That right from the beginning, I was really that was terrific. Jiaz Zhangke, I don't know how to say his name. I'm sorry, but the Chinese filmmaker Jiaz Zhangke, Still Life, superb. And a great French movie called My Sex Life or How I Got Into an Argument. It's 3 hours long. It's the most French thing you'll ever see, and it has a clear debt to one of my favorite films beforehand called The Mother and the Whore. But I loved it. I thought it was tremendous, gripping for 3 hours. Hrustalyov, My Car, crazy Russian movie from '98. Hard to wrap your mind around that one, but I love that one. I saw many great movies in the on the big screen for the Karlovy Vary Film Festival Classics section in January. So over the course of 2 days, I saw High and Low, McCabe and Mrs. Miller, and Army of Shadows. And High and Low in particular. I mean, I liked McCabe and Mrs. Miller before, but now I really, really love it. Beautiful stuff. Army of Shadows, I mean, I knew was incredible, but I really have become an admirer of Melville's style. I think there's so much depth to it. It's very rich. But I mean, High and Low on the big screen. I mean, it is that first hour. The whole thing is perfect, to be clear. And I forgot how much, like, when they get to like the drug alley, it like resembles like a horror film. They almost look like zombies. But that whole like ending sequence, like when it goes like largely nonverbal, it's just extraordinary. But that first hour is so electric, and it's all in one location. I mean, High and Low, perfect. Oh, and for those wondering, Herzog's Nosferatu the Vampire was infinitely better than Eggers's. I think I liked it more than Murnau's original as well. I also really liked Bergman's Smiles of a Summer Night. I was like, oh, it's a rom-com. It'll be fun. And then it's Bergman. So not quite. And I finished Angelopoulos' filmography. I love all his films. Yeah. Oh, fun fact. The first 2 films I watched this year were Salo and In the Realm of the Senses. I wanted to start off on a good note. And my final note is, earlier I mentioned something about Finchinator in my Discord, and I'm now remembering what it was, which is that I posted this in Discord, and I'm just reminded of it now. I was organizing some replays for a video I'll be making soon. This is true. It's not this video, but it's another one. But because one of these replays consists of myself defeating Finchinator in Gen 5 OU, no hacks. I then got up, I went to the bathroom, and I smacked my face on the door. Finch is always lurking, so, never forget Finchinator's evil. I had not a huge mark on my face, but, my friends at the place I they enjoyed it. Yeah. One of them was like, so, how does it feel to turn 30? Which she thinks is really funny, because I'm not 30 for another year. And then another one was like, she started making fun of my back recently, which I really take issue with, because I take, staying in shape very seriously. And like whenever people my age go, oh, I have back pain or whatever, I'm like, not me. And I was like, yeah, right. And then I was walking to the tram to, go to my grandma's, and I felt like a twinge right beneath my shoulder blade. And I was like, you gotta be fucking kidding me. She placed like a Ukrainian curse on me or something. Anyway, on that note, we are going to call it there. Unless Fakes is going to wow us with Conkelder or whatever. Oof, jeez, never mind. Wow, the Dragonite has used Dragon Dance. How crazy is that? And it's Life Orb. Holy moly. Okay, yeah, don't care. Sorry, Fakes. So, thank you so much for watching. I hope you have enjoyed, this, yeah, this thing that's all over the place. And okay, we're gonna finish off. We're gonna finish off with a joke from my buddy Jirachi, who is just like, "Whoa!" At 1 a.m. for both players, and he says, "Kevin goes to the zoo for the first time, marvels at the ability of willingness of Pokemon players to stay up late." Like, okay, yes, I understand, but playing, a deciding SPL game at 1 in the morning, like it couldn't have been played earlier, guys. Like before work, or the day before. Yeah. He's a funny guy. Yeah, and you reminded me that I have another year before I'm officially cringe, because I'm no longer in. I mean, yeah. Okay. So thank you guys so much for watching, and I will see you in the next one.